Welcome to today's session. My name is Obi, a member of the Social Work Portal team. Today, we will go over everything you need to know about the biopsychosocial method, including how to apply the biopsychosocial model step by step so that you can deliver more effective, person centered care. We will also provide you with two free templates that you can start using with clients today. One of them is the biopsychosocial assessment intake template, and the other one is just a regular psychosocial assessment template. Let us go over both templates. So, what we are currently looking at here is the biopsychosocial assessment intake form template. You will notice here it includes a section where you gather basic information about the client's gender, who's referring the client, what's the current situation, and much more. And when you scroll down, you will see there is another section for you to gather the client's background and detailed background information. Here is where you gather a little bit more detailed assessment information. The next section is medical history. And then as we go further down, you will notice here there's a couple of rows for you to capture impressions, assessments, and also recommendations. All right. So this right here is the psychosocial, the biopsychosocial assessment template. Let us take a look at the regular, just a regular psychosocial assessment template. 60% of this regular psychosocial assessment template is similar to the biopsychosocial assessment template, but there are differences. When you scroll down to the bottom of the form, you will notice that the regular biosocial assessment template doesn't contain as many sections as the biopsychosocial assessment template contains. So just want to cover very quickly, or rather call out very quickly, that you will be getting access to the two free templates that you can download and start using starting today if necessary. One of the most important things to take away from today's session is this: you should always think of the biopsychosocial model as a 3D view of your client's world, a 3D view of your client's holistic environment, a 3D view of your client's holistic situation. If you only look at one angle, you will miss critical details. Let me introduce you to Jane. Jane is a dedicated social worker who was helping a client with chronic stress. Now, Jane focused on the client's environment and daily stress factors, offering coping strategies and resources to the client. But she noticed that the client's progress was slow and inconsistent. And no matter what she tried, there was no improvement. It wasn't until Jane began to consider the client's family history of anxiety, their recent physical health changes, and their limited social support network that the full picture came into focus. By using a holistic biopsychosocial approach, Jane realized that the stress wasn't just about her client's job. Instead, it was deeply intertwined with their biological and social context. That is the power of the biopsychosocial model, which is a comprehensive framework that recognizes that health and well being are a complex, interconnected interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors. This model, pioneered by George Engel, is a fundamental shift from traditional, purely medical approaches. It emphasizes a more integrated and person centered perspective. And in a few minutes, we will walk you through how to understand and apply this powerful model. We will also show you how to conduct a biopsychosocial assessment in, to ensure that when filling out the template, you know exactly the things to capture. So, what is the biopsychosocial model? The biopsychosocial model is a way of understanding a person's health or a specific problem by looking at three distinct yet interconnected areas. As mentioned a few minutes ago, one of them is biological, the other is psychological, and the third one is social. Biological. This component includes a person's physical health, genetics, brain chemistry, nutrition, and any medical conditions or physical disabilities they may have. It also considers things like substance use and physical activity levels. Now, you don't really have to take a lot of notes because there is the link at the bottom of this video that takes you into the detailed free guide that contains everything that I am talking about right now and more. What is psychological aspect? Let's go into that a little bit. The psychological aspect focuses on a person's thoughts, emotions, behaviors, coping mechanisms, and mental health. This includes factors like personality, stress levels, cognitive functioning, and any mental health diagnosis such as depression or anxiety. Next one, social. This element examines a person's environment, relationships, and cultural context. It includes family dynamics, social support networks, school or work life, as well as economic status, housing situation, and cultural or spiritual beliefs. The true strength of the psychosocial approach is its recognition that a person's well being is not just the sum of these parts, but the result of their constant interaction. For example, a person with a genetic predisposition to depression, biological, who is experiencing a job loss, in this case, social, may have feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness, that feeling, which is psychological. So a complete biopsychosocial assessment would consider all three factors to create a more effective treatment plan. So, what we are looking at here on my screen is the detailed guide, and you can click on the link below this video to follow along. If you notice, we just went over what is the biopsychosocial model, and we did the breakdown between biological, psychological, and also social. And we also talked about how the true strength is really its recognition that a person's well-being is not just a sum of the parts, but rather how they are constantly interacting. Now, let's go over how do you apply the biopsychosocial model. There are four key things to keep in mind. The first one is really to identify the relevant biological, psychological, and also social elements, and then enter that into that assessment intake form, the free one that I shared with you at the beginning of this video that I shared on my screen. And on this detailed guide, I will also show you how to go download the biopsychosocial assessment intake template, as well as the regular psychosocial assessment intake. So when populating the biopsychosocial assessment intake form, you want to gather the relevant biological, psychological, and social elements and then enter that into the document. You also want to gather those additional information that are referenced on the assessment template. You want to link our findings to really understand and show how the three different domains, how they interact, and then plan the client's care interventions that will address all three. In regards to conducting the biopsychosocial assessment, let us go over that a little bit. As you can see here, a biopsychosocial assessment is really the practical application of the model in client work. It is a structured way to gather comprehensive information. And I know I'm just reading directly from the guide. That is really for people that are just listening versus watching the video. So I've mentioned multiple times, it's really all about how these three components are interrelated: biological, psychological, and also social. Understanding the interconnectedness of all three is very, very important. We have included two options for you to conduct a successful biocycle assessment. Let's go over the first one. The first one, there are 5 key steps. Prepare. So prepare any review if there are any previous records, and clarify what is the purpose of this assessment that you're about to do. The second step is the interviewing, a step where you want to ask open-ended questions that explore all of the 3 domains. Third step is use that template, the free one that we are going to be providing to you, because it does include some of the questions, the open-ended questions you should be gathering. Document clearly is a very big factor. We see a lot of times practitioners, they don't do a good job in documenting narratives and also summaries. So please, when completing your assessments for your clients, you want to ensure that you are doing a good job with the narratives and also the summaries. And then number 5 is where you really integrate the different findings, right? You want to call out and highlight the interconnections between the biological, the psychological, and also social context. Okay. Here is option 2 for conducting a successful assessment. You start with the problem that is being presented. Understand why the person is here meeting with you, either virtually or in person. Why they're meeting with you to seek help. What is the key issues they want to address? This really helps you to build rapport with the client and also to prioritize the best care for them. Gathering biological information involves things like asking about their physical health. And here we've included examples of questions you can be asking your clients when gathering biological information. What is their general health history, right? Ask them, what is your general health history? Let them provide that to you, including, are they taking any medications? Don't assume they are. So don't ask questions about what medications that you're taking right now, because then you come across just making assumptions about the client. Instead, ask them, Are you taking any medications right now? And then if they say yes, then you say, okay, what kind of medications are you currently taking? Okay. And then have you taken medications in the past? What medications have you taken? Right? Those types of questions. Also ask them, how is your sleeping schedule? Are you having any uh, issues sleeping? Do you have any chronic issues or illnesses that you, the professional, should be aware of? And then document the psychological factors. Here, you want to do a deep dive into their emotional state as well as their mental state. Ask them, ask them this question: how would you describe your mood right now? How are you feeling? How do you handle stress? What are your coping mechanism? And then, have you experienced any past trauma that you would like to talk about? Things like that are sample questions you can ask. The social context. Here, you want to ask them questions and discuss their relationships and also their environment. Um, at home, at work, uh, in, in your social environment, who is your support system? Who do you go for support? The questions like those are questions you want to ask your client. And also, what is your living situation? Are things that you want to ask them. What about a job? Do you have a job? Are you in school? Are things you can ask a client. Are there any cultural or spiritual factors that are important to you that I should know about as your professionals? Those are things you can ask the client. And if you notice, um, the way I posed that last question, are there any cultural or spiritual factors that are important to you that I should be aware of as a professional to here to help with your situation? What you actually do by phrasing the question that way is make it more like a partnership, right? You're actually here to help them. You're not just asking questions so you can go down the checklist and then be done, right? You don't want to look at them as a case. That is one mistake we see professionals make again and again. They don't take the time to connect with the client. They instead view every client as just a case for them to support. No, that's not the approach you want to use. The approach is, let us quickly go over some of the additional common mistakes for you to avoid when doing a biopsychosocial assessment. One of them that we have seen again and again is practitioners focusing on just one of the three domains. For example, you might have a case manager or a social worker focusing too much on the social aspect and not really doing a deep dive into the biological or the psychological components. Here's how you avoid that. Actively use that free template or any guide to ensure that you are touching upon all three areas. Ask specific questions about their physical health, emotional well being, and social connections in every assessment. Here's mistake number two, taking the biopsychosocial model as just a checklist. It is not really a checklist for you to just tick off or say, okay, yes, I'm just going to go down the list and just check, 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 check. It is rather a lens through which you can view a person's holistic life. Just asking them, do you have social support, is not really enough. You need to do further exploration. And here we have included how to avoid this particular mistake, and that is you want to switch from this question and answer format, just asking them questions, they're giving you responses. You want to switch that into more of a narrative building, right? Asking open ended questions are things that will really increase your success in getting clients to really open up. Tell me about your typical day, or what are your relationships with your family like? Really open ended questions that you can ask. Here's the third mistake that we see. individuals, or rather practitioners, they neglect the interconnections, making the connection between all three domains. The real power, as stated here on this guide, lies in understanding how each of the domain is impacting and influencing the other ones, right? And that is why time and time again, when we educate social workers or case managers or therapists or counselors or nonprofits, we normally emphasize that when doing a psychosocial, a biopsychosocial assessment, you want to ensure that you are looking at the connections and connecting the dots between all three domains. Okay. And as mentioned earlier, we have the free checklist. There's actually two of them that we're giving to you, not just the biopsychosocial assessment checklist, but rather uh, the biopsychosocial assessment template and also the just regular biopsychosocial assessment. There are some differences between the two templates, so you want to ensure that you are using the right ones. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have also provided a lot more free resources. So when you do access our free resource page, there is a lot of templates that you can leverage. Let us know if you have any questions. If you have any feedback, any comments, you can enter that into the comments section of this video. Don't forget to like the video. That helps others understand that there is a video here that is providing a lot of value. Okay. And also don't forget to watch the other videos that we have published to help increase your success.